2013 Cadillac CTS, not the V, it's got 3.6 liter. Customer states that the vehicle is uncontrollable, drives all over the road, and they hit a curb pretty hard. We are in the middle of the repair on this one. Spring compressors, spring compressors. You guys have always harped on me over and over and over again about spring compressors, and I'm going to show you exactly why I don't often use a spring compressor, and I tend to resort to more sketchy methods to compress a coil spring for front suspension. It's a rear-wheel drive. They do come in an all-wheel drive, but this one's rear-wheel drive only. Let's check our displacement. Yeah, that's a V6 in there, so 3.6 liter. Anyway, the issue with this car is the guy that owns this car, or somebody who was driving this car, curbed it really bad, and I'm talking bad enough to where they smashed the wheel in and pinched the tire, damaging the wheel and the tire. So we called up Cadillac and we have ordered a replacement wheel and tire. Cool part is I was able to acquire the exact correct tire to match the remaining 3 tires, which is super awesome. I hate mismatching tires. I actually believe in some parts of the planet, I think it might be the UK, where it is unlawful to run more than one type of tire on your vehicle. For example, you can have 2 Goodyears on the front and then 2 Michelins on the back, and that's an unlawful practice. They all have to be the exact same make and model. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks across the pond, but that's my understanding. But I find it to be like fairly commonsensical to use the same tire on your vehicle. Anyway, that's not what this particular issue is about. We're just here to discuss swapping out the strut right here in the front. Like I said, they curbed this thing pretty nasty, bent the rim, ruined the wheel, bent the steering knuckle and the lower control arm. So we've got a replacement lower and a replacement knuckle here. Now, when we got this in, there was a replacement strut on this unit, and I believe the strut was this guy right over here. It's an OE Spectrum. Everything in the world screams that this was the correct strut, but after we had installed the wheel, tire, and spindle and control arm, we had found that there was a slight ride height discrepancy. This side over here was sitting low, probably about 3/4 of an inch to maybe even 1 whole inch. You could visibly see it when we measured it out at the wheel wells and at the bottoms of the control arms. You could see that the thing just was not level. Now, the issue the driver was having is while they were cruising along doing Cadillac things, the car would randomly just want to steer out of control either way, kind of like it was fighting itself. With a misaligned suspension geometry due to a ride height discrepancy along with bent up parts, it was very clear to me that that was the cause of our wandering steering business. So we had, like I said, we got all that stuff done, and it was sitting low on this side. So looking at everything, realizing that we didn't have chassis damage and the identifiable parts that were already damaged had been replaced, we couldn't figure out for the life of us what the deal is with the suspension. So I started rolling the dice around. What we had discovered, and I'll show you guys compared to the OEM GM part number versus that aftermarket one that was installed, we had found that there is a build difference between the 2 components. So let me get these set up real quick and I'll show you what the difference is. Before we get into all that, you may be wondering, why are there 3 struts here when the car came in with 1 strut? I ordered the GM strut to replace the OEM Spectrum strut, yet over here there happens to be another OEM Spectrum strut. Now, the reason for this other strut right here is because I had hypothesized that there was an issue with the previously installed aftermarket component. And what we had discovered when we took this strut out was this little collar right here. See that little aluminum collar? That collar is supposed to ride on this little snap ring. There's a groove cut into the body of this strut, and they stick that piece of steel in there. And what you do is you take that collar, it has that little groove machined out of it, that's going to slide down over the strut, and engage on that little metal clip in there, at which point this component here slides down over it, engages onto that ring, and that is what the spring is supposed to sit against to hold the vehicle up. Now, if we look at the GM OE strut, we still see the same design. We've got that machine groove, we've got that snap ring in, but this unit does not have that little machine collar. It just kind of sits like right down over the top of that. Now, I cannot seem to locate for the life of me what I did with the other base plate that goes on this strut that came out of the car. But regardless, we had ordered a replacement because there was 2 part numbers for these OEM Spectrum struts or whatever. This was the first part number, which was already installed. This was the second part number, which they said is 1 inch longer on its throw. Now, I'm assuming that they meant that because when we installed this strut, I found out the vehicle had the exact same ride height problem. So I bit the bullet and special ordered the GM one from Cadillac. Now, getting to the part where I show you where the discrepancy lies with our ride height, and this is why many folks will encourage the use of OE parts as opposed to the aftermarket parts, because these subtle differences can cause a huge problem. So if we look right here, we can see that this little base collar bit of business for the bottom of the spring is all the way down. See that? If we were to line up the mounts here on this side, that's flush and even, and then take a look at the base of this mount compared to this mount, we can see that this guy is sitting lower than this one here. Now, this right here is a fixed position on the vehicle. See the upper mount right there? This aluminum mount is going to bolt to the strut tower up there in the wheel well. Now, because of this build quality discrepancy, this strut, which they said is the correct one for the vehicle, makes the vehicle sit down about 1 inch lower. And I found the inch. See that right there? That right there caused a huge body lean, a discrepancy in ride height, and ultimately whoever performed the wheel alignment on this after the collision was doomed to failure, because with a vehicle sitting sideways like this in the front and then sitting level in the back, the entire geometry of all 4 corners is out of spec. And I don't know how somebody aligned this thing with ride height being the way that it was, but it was flat out wrong. So through a lot of head scratching and some process of elimination, I have determined that although they fit, these aftermarket components were not the proper pieces to install in a Cadillac CTS. So if you guys have a high-end car, try to avoid the aftermarket stuff, because little things like that can make a huge difference. It's just 1 inch, just the tip, but that's enough right there to really rock somebody's world. So some of you might go, well, what are you gonna do with that that brand new one that you just bought and then installed, Ray? You know, most people would send this back, but I went on like a rampage tirade the other day. Oh, there's the base plate right there. I went on a rampage last week about why, when you have installed it or broken it or used it, you bought it. And I will stand by my convictions on this. I will not be sending this strut cartridge back to where it came from and try to get my money back, because that's it's borderline larceny, and it's not the parts store's fault that I ordered the wrong thing. That being said, we're gonna get around to the point of this video, which is why I don't like spring compressors. And then after we do that, I'm gonna put this thing back in the car and see if we get the correct ride height out of it. With regards to what is going to happen with this strut, I think I'm going to break the rules and chop it open so we can see what's inside. They say right on the labels, do not heat or cut open, avoid damage, do not break into this strut thing or whatever, because there's contents and gases and oils under pressure. But I'm going to ignore that safety label, and we're going to chop this thing open later on and see why they put that label on there, for one. And then we're going to autopsy it and see what's inside of it, because I don't think a lot of us know what's going on inside of our suspension control components. So we're going to have a little learning side project later on one day. Now, back to the title of this video, these stupid spring compressors. I almost said screen protectors. I don't know why. Anyway, I can't get that thing inside of there, so we're just gonna hammer it in. Give it a tappy tap tap. So now we can attempt to compress this spring some. You know, I should probably try to get it in right there. That might be a little easier. But I also fear that I've gone too far, and it is the way that it is. But you'll take note that it's nearly impossible to put a spring compressor on a spring while it's in the vehicle. And if this was not a strut in this configuration, I'd never be able to do it, because you see how the bar is sticking out past where the mount is. That's why I don't like spring compressors. They're awkward. They don't work with struts very well, and you can't really fit them into places. So I try to avoid these. Anyway, we're going to compress this spring with these spring compressors and get this strut changed out with the other unit here. And it's going to be hammer time. Hammer taps. Not tammer haps, but hammer taps. There. Yeah, these are going to be a lot of fun to get out of here later on, I can tell you that. All right, let us begin some compressing action here. Hope this is safe. Are we there yet? Yeah, we're getting there. Nope, still tight. That one stopped. Yeah, we're close. You start taking the nut loose here on the end. We'll see if this relaxes enough to take it out. Not taking the nut off. There's an inch or so of threads here. See that? That's what's important. Okay, so that's still on with the threads. And look at here. See how the strut's turning? There's a minimal pressure on the base plate here. So, yep, that's loose. Pull that guy out. Okay, so this is the brand new aftermarket one that I thought was the correct one to match the one I took out, and it is not. So we're gonna swap out the GM factory unit. Let's see how that goes. Alrighty, old strut's out, new strut coming in here, and we basically just have to get this guy all nice and lined up properly. See right here on the other end, we're starting to stick out with the stud. So now, here, I'm gonna stand this thing up. It's sketchy. Here on the top, we gotta get that lined up with the hole. See that? We need some additional compressions here. I gotta get that thing to smash down a little bit. I don't have a spring compressor here, guys, except for these, or a strut compressor. I think that we're just gonna smash it with the lift arm right there and push that down about a ½ inch. Get this new guy installed. Bear with me here, guys. Sketchy time. You see, the thing that folks fail to realize is even with a spring compressor, we're still dealing with a lot of potential energy. Potential energy is dangerous. do, that right there. Hey Lauren.
Yes.
Come here, babe, I need your help. Can you push the up button on this car and release the lock?
Oh.
The lock's the lever in front of you. Pull it down.
Pull it down.
Yep. Does it go down? Okay,
Yeah.
push the button to make it go up.
Which button?
The only button that's there. Push the on the side there.
Do I let go of this one?
Push the button. Push the button. Car goes up. Pull the lock down all the way. Now hold the lock release down with your right hand. See the other lever on the other side over there?
Yes.
Pull that down very slowly. And you're gonna let the car down. Slowly. That was not slow. A little more. Stop. Okay. So here, hang on. We're doing. Nope. Don't let go of anything. I need to get this thing pointed the right way. Fear not, my head is not in like the danger zone of decapitation here. So we're good. Slowly let it down, and I mean super slow, okay? Super slow.
Gotcha.
Go ahead. A little more, a little more, a little more. Oh, hold it right there. Okay. A little more. Here's the nut. Ha! We're on there. It's safe. Okay, push the button and go back up with it.
Do I keep my hand on
You
this?
can let go of the lock release there. Just push the up button. There you go. Voila. So that's on. See the threads there? So we're in position. The thing can't fly apart. It is safe. So we're good there. So now it's to tighten up that bolt and then take this compressors off the spring.
Goal number 1, don't die.
Don't die. And number 2 is you need to know what you're doing. That way you don't die.
Yes.
Got a t-shirt about that one. RainmanRaceRepairs.com. It's in the merch section. You need to know what you're doing so you don't die. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and not die by making this more safe. We're gonna tighten up that nut. That's gonna draw the shaft on the strut up to the mount, and it's gonna start to compress some of this isolators and other items, including the spring. The audible change in impact indicates that that nut has now bottomed out. So we are free to remove the spring compressor. Okay, impact and the 17 wobbly bit. Again, you can take it loose. Unclickage. Seriously? We need lubricant. Let's see if it comes out of the backside. No, it didn't come out of the back. For next time. So now, Lauren's laughing at me. It's seriously, she's like really trying to hold it back. Okay, so let's lube the shaft on this other side here. Get some grease in there. I know it's the wrong grease for lubricating spring compressors. I feel you guys, I get it. It's fine. Shaft is running dry. What was so funny about that? You got a dirty mind. Ah, killed it! New battery, tactical reload. Okay, so this is the part I was concerned about when I started doing this little project business or whatever. getting these compressors out of the springs. It's a pretty tight squeeze. Yeah, I got that one. That's good. This one, pry hammer. There, got it. Okay, so that's one replaced strut unit component here. So we're gonna throw this thing back in and then check on ride height. Let's get our CTS back up to a manageable working height. Black subscribe button, that's for all you new people here. Making notice?
Yeah.
You're gonna fall. You just tripped. You're funny.
I tripped over the floor.
You tripped over, yeah, over the floor. Oh, it's too high. I was over here staring at you.
I'm distracted.
That you are. You can get out of here. Okay, so we're looking up into the wheel well here. Let's go ahead and feed this thing into its home. And then I'll reach around from the top and drop the fasteners down through the holes there and get those guys started. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, 3 or 4 of these guys, little big units. So what we'll do, reach around, see the hole right here? Can you guys see that up there? Probably not. There's a hole, several holes. There, and there. So what I need to do is get these bolts through those holes there, and then we'll thread them into the threads at the top of the aluminum mount right here. So here we'll put you guys like right there. Hope you can still see. Oh, gravity. Stay right there. Stop trying to run away. Flee before me. And these little plastic pegs up here, those guys, that thing, that is like a guide peg to help keep this thing aligned. So I'm reaching around to grab the bolt, thread it on. There we go. Okay, that one's, it's now suspended. So other 2 bolts coming in through that back hole right there. Thread that guy in. And there's a side hole and another rear back hole. You guys can't see the farthest rearest hole, but I've got the bolt in it. So now what we shall do is get the rest of this stuff connected. Need to bring this guy up, meet the control arm, steering, the base of the strut, and sway bar link. Moving back up. There. Oh, by the way, check this out. When this car hit whatever it hit so hard that the wheel bottomed out and ran into the wheel well on the inside. You see all these little, all this marks right here? There's some rubber marks there, and all that is scrapage from the tire having hit it. Yeah, this thing hit pretty hard. I think first thing I want to do here is get this knuckle kind of lined up and connected to that upper control arm. Yes, sir. Go. Now we're cooking. Yeah. So come over here, let this down a little bit. It's gonna push all that stuff up into position. Sketch-o-matic. Go. Let's level out the jack. Close. Much better. All right. Okay. Slide that guy up. Pull the upper control arm down into the knuckle. See that there? And wrong nut. Correct nut. Nice. Click. Whoa, crap. There, you guys stay there. Okay, so no, I must have did that on purpose for the views. Oh no. Okay, so we've got I think I got most of it. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it finally fits now. Beautiful. Before, this thing was sitting like down here. Okay, so I need to get these guys bolted to the lower, route that wire, got the tie rod tight, control arms tight. Let's get this guy right here set up real quick, and then we can throw the wheels on this and let it down, or at least eyeball it before it comes down to make sure it's at the proper ride height. Okay, 13 millimeter coming in on the bottom bolts for our struts here. That one. Stay. Sway bar link passed through perfectly. It was not aligning properly earlier, but now we got it. That one's the bolt for the sway bar. It's good. All is looking beautiful. I like what's happening here. This is good. Okay, we need to let it down, tighten up the bolts for the top of the mount here, draw it in, and then we can take a look and see if this thing's gonna even out or not. It better even out. I'm tired of having piles of parts sitting around. All right, let's let her down here. Lock, release, cataract, come down. So we're gonna go back to the engine compartment, tighten down those strut mount bolts that are in there, and then we'll raise this back up and eyeball the ride height, make sure it is correct. After having looked at the other side over yonder, I've concluded that the stud, this guy, is gonna go here in that section. This one doesn't need to be here because it is the one that needs to be back here, but I can't get it in because the bracket has to be drawn upwards some. So let's tighten these guys down a piece, and then we'll put that side bolt in, then this one, and then the one in the front there after we put the stabilizer back in position. So here, we'll take this guy, tighten that down. That's going to draw the whole strut upwards. There's one of the bolts. Put that back one in. See that guy back there? That one's good. Not gonna reach with that. Scheiße, wo ist meinen socket? There. Quick. There we go. Woohoo! So now, I need to run over, bring that with me, run over here to this side real quick. Like, these bolts were loose to make this thing right here move. And now that it's back where it belongs, put that back. It's like a real-time video, no editing. This will be a zero edit type of video. Well, maybe a little bit. Not a lot though. It's like live action. Okay, Anyway, so bust out the measuring tape here real quick, and we're gonna take some preliminary strut measurements now that everything's bolted in. Make sure this is gonna work out the way it should, I think. So, what I think we need to do is get a light. We need more light. There we go. So what we're gonna do, I think, we're gonna measure from the top of the strut right up at the top of the spring isolator. See that right there? And we're gonna measure all the way down to the bottom of the mount where it bolts onto the lower control arm. Those are the measurements that we found were an inch or so off, so we're gonna go with those ones. I know we didn't record that stuff earlier. My apologies, and je regrette en français, but it is what it is. So got that up top, and right here we're looking at 23.5 inches approximately from the tip to the base. 23.5. We had huge discrepancies in that prior, so we're gonna do the same thing the same way. Go in at that bit of an angle here, right up top. And there we go, look at that, right at 23.5. So we're at the top. I know it's not a complete scientific method of measuring, but it will be sufficient to illustrate the height discrepancy of the two struts. So we saw that one, the aftermarket one, the offset right here at the base was not accurate, and the GM one fit in there like a glove. So I think that's going to be a win, guys. I think it's a win. If we take a look down here and start eyeballing things, we're going to reference the bottom of the control arm here and here. Now prior, and I know you guys didn't get to see it, but prior we weren't getting this part sticking out. It was hanging out like right about here, almost flush with the skid shield. So we had a huge difference in how it appeared, and looking at it now, we're exactly dead on, super even. Let's look at it from the side view. There we go. I think we got a winner. OE components for the win, guys. OE components for the win. Alrighty, boys. So I realized this video was slightly, or formatted slightly differently than normular. It's a little bit hectic in here right now. We're just trying to do as much as possible given the constraints of some parts issues. I had 3 or 4 reorders on parts on this we heard about, waiting on delivery for parts on this. I actually need to get this car off of this rack and put onto this rack because I need the big one, but I can't move that until that's moved. Can't move that until this is moved, and we're over here working on the ground because that lift blew up and is broken. Tuning the carburetor over there anyway, so that space is occupied. So yeah, we're kind of traffic jammed right now, and a lot of it was because I've been paying more attention to my Tonka toys and storage containers rather than the customers' cars. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not paying attention to cars, but we had to get that box moved over here. There's a video about such things. I'll make a link for it down in this video's description. I don't know if I'm going to post it and make it listed, but I will upload it and make it available again in the description, probably the pinned comment and the end screen here at the end of this video. That way you guys have 3 opportunities to see the super secret hidden unlisted video about getting that thing moved all the way across Manatee County, Florida. That was fun because it weighs 8,000 pounds and it's 45 feet long. So anyway, you guys don't forget to click the box at the end of this screen to see what's going on with that little project over there. This one out here is going to be good to go. I believe we're all set. I'm confident with it. The post-accident repair has been completed, and again, I apologize because we didn't really start this video properly. We didn't really go through the procedure properly. What I mean by properly is as per my channel's normular protocol. But I've been kind of bouncing all around like a madman, working 30 hours a day to try to coordinate all this stuff and get everything done. So unfortunately, some of my production quality has suffered ever so slightly. But I do maintain my need and urgency to be consistent over time, and we will stabilize and get back to that. but this is a remarkably crazy time of year. It's hot outside, we're tired, we're overloaded, we're sweating, we're losing weight, but we're trying to get everything done and processed as normal. So guys, let me know what you think about this whole situation as I just described in the comment section down below. Do not forget to engage that like and subscribe button while you're down there. Drop me a comment or two in the comment section, and most importantly, do not forget to have yourselves a fantastic day. See you guys later in a video in a Cadillac CTS, suspension repair, end of transmission. Nah, I'm just kidding you guys. I'm not gonna leave without showing you the thing on the ground and measuring the wheel arch ride height. We wouldn't do that to you. That's just horrible. It's like a never concluding cliffhanger. I'm not gonna do that. So wheels are back on, skid plate's back on. Setting this thing down on the ground. Contact has been achieved. So she's down. Rack's on the ground. Let's give it a shake so it can settle some after having been lifted up in the air ever so slightly. Just gonna sit here and jump on it. Now, this is not the exact perfect way to measure ride height, but it's gonna give us what we're looking for here. So this one we got 28.5 at the wheel well arch. Okay, other side. 28.4 at the wheel well arch. Close enough for me. Take that. We win. See you guys later.